What if Earth suddenly had no gravity? In this simulation, we turn off the gravity and see what would happen next. All bodies in the solar system are held in their orbits by their mutual gravitational attraction. If the Earth were to suddenly not have any gravity, it would immediately fly away from the Sun in a straight line with all of its mass, atmosphere, and people included. But don't worry, we will be back in one piece. Just kidding. There won't be a planet or people left. Let's find out why. In our simulation, we turned off the gravity while the Earth was orbiting around the Sun. And now we can see how the Earth flies away from the Sun. Now we turn on the gravity again. As you can see, the Earth returns to its original orbit around the Sun. That was easy. What's so difficult about that? The real trouble starts when we turn off the gravity while the Earth is still orbiting around the Sun, and its gravity is still acting upon the Moon. The Moon will continue to move in a straight line and crash into the Earth with an unimaginable force. You know how sometimes you feel like the Moon should fall down from the sky? Well, here it is. At first, it will look like a meteor shower. Then, the Moon will get closer and closer, and finally it will crash into the Earth. This catastrophe will cause global tsunamis and earthquakes, and the crust of our planet will be shaken like never before. If there were people alive at that moment, they would consider themselves the luckiest and the unluckiest people in the history of mankind. Look, on one hand, they would witness an incredible natural phenomenon. On the other hand, it would be the end of their life. And after the Moon crashes into the Earth, our planet will lose its shape. Yes, that's right. Without gravity, the Earth won't hold its form. It will just crumble into pieces. These fragments will start falling onto the Sun and into outer space. Some fragments will reach low Earth orbit and remain there for millions of years like satellites. Even the core of the Earth will go up into space and cool down. The Earth will cease to exist as a planet, but its remnants will forever revolve around our Sun. We made another simulation where the Moon didn't crash into the Earth, but simply moved away into outer space. In this case, the Earth will continue to spin on its axis and even make a full revolution around the Sun. But without the gravitational pull of the Moon, the Earth will wobble around the Sun like a drunkard, and eventually it will collide with another planet. Such a collision will lead to strong earthquakes and tsunamis on both planets. You might think that it's impossible to destroy a planet, but in reality, it's much easier to destroy a planet than to create it. In 1980, American astronomer John Keefe calculated that the probability of the Earth's destruction during the next million years is about 10%. He came to this conclusion based on computer simulations of the dynamics of celestial bodies. In his calculations, he took into account the gravitational perturbations of the Earth caused by the planets, starting with Mars. According to Kepler, the Earth has a good chance of being thrown out of its orbit by Mars or other gas giants such as Jupiter and Neptune. NASA scientists also believe that our planet has every chance to leave its orbit in the next million years. But they think that it'll be Venus that'll send the Earth packing. If that happens, we'll have time to prepare. Or maybe we won't need any preparation. Let's check it out in our simulation. First, let's disable the gravity. See, the Earth immediately flies away from the Sun. In fact, it will fly away together with all its atmosphere, oceans, and even satellites. Now let's enable the gravity again. The Earth returns to its orbit. No abnormalities. Now let's do it again. The same thing. And once more. The Earth flies away. This time it'll collide with Mercury. We'll check how the Earth leaves its orbit in detail in another video. So subscribe to the channel so you don't miss it. But what if the Earth just gets out of its orbit and doesn't collide with anything? How long could a human survive in this case? Let's turn off the gravity. The Earth flies away from the Sun. Turn on the gravity. The Earth comes back. So far, so good. But the trouble is, the Earth will no longer be able to orbit the Sun due to the loss of its momentum. It will slowly descend into the Sun like a meteorite. People on Earth will feel weightlessness, then hypoxia, and then they'll die. By the way, many animals will die along with them because they need gravity to maintain their internal pressure. Otherwise, their bodies will explode. In order to slow down the Earth and bring it down to the Sun, it'll take about 100 million years. During this time, humanity will have to move to another planet. But where? Scientists think we could move to Proxima Centauri b, a planet orbiting the nearest star to our Sun. Of course, if humanity survives until that time. Unfortunately, there's a very high probability that even our closest neighbors won't welcome us. Most likely, this is because Proxima Centauri b will have a dense atmosphere. Its surface temperature will range from 40 to 60 degrees Celsius. In addition, there will be liquid water and oxygen on the planet, which means there may be some kind of life. This raises two questions. Will we be able to adapt to these conditions? And will we manage not to destroy local wildlife? Of course, we'll manage. Humanity is the most adaptable species in the universe. We can adapt to anything if we have to. I mean, take a look at people living in Siberia. They've learned to live in extreme cold. And people living in Death Valley in California are struggling for survival in extreme heat. Many people have already adapted to living in space. They work aboard the International Space Station, and they've been there for months now. They're not affected by weightlessness and cosmic radiation. Therefore, we're sure that the pioneers of the new Earth will quickly adapt to the conditions on Proxima Centauri b. As for the local wildlife, we'll definitely not destroy it. After all, we're talking about the most advanced species in the universe, and we're intelligent enough to not make the same mistakes we made on our native planet. But what if we don't want to move to another planet? What if we decide to stay on the Earth? Let's check how we'll manage in this case. When the gravity disappears, the Earth will begin to disintegrate. Within a few days, it will break up into large and small fragments. Do you want to know how big these fragments will be? Watch another video where we crush the Earth into pieces. It will become clear to you what will happen to people on our planet after that. A part of the Earth will be in low Earth orbit. People who find themselves on this part of the planet will be in weightlessness. They'll have to fasten themselves to chairs and other objects to avoid floating away into outer space. Moreover, the Earth's artificial satellites will fall from orbit and crash into the remaining fragments. Since there won't be any atmosphere left, people will have to wear spacesuits. And since there will be no air in the atmosphere, people will suffocate. But the most terrible thing will be radiation. Astronauts aboard the International Space Station often have to return to Earth early because of dangerous radiation. In low Earth orbit, a person will be exposed to high doses of radiation every day, which will kill him or her in a few years. But those who find themselves in the core of the Earth's fragments will face other problems. There will be a lot of heat there. To escape the unbearable heat, people will have to hide deep underground. Perhaps the only place on Earth where people could survive after the destruction of the planet would be inside a hollow asteroid captured by Earth's gravity. People could use the asteroid as a base to explore the solar system. However, such a base would have serious drawbacks. For example, in the asteroid's orbit, there will either be a shortage or an excess of sunlight. Also, asteroids often collide with comets and other space debris. Therefore, people will have to spend most of their time hiding in shelters. Moreover, asteroids rarely have resources necessary for long-term survival. And if a hollow asteroid ever collides with another space body, people will die along with it. People will hardly be able to survive on the Earth after the loss of gravity. But what about birds? After all, they can't walk on the ground. Throughout their lives, they're constantly flying. If the Earth loses its gravity, birds will simply float away into outer space. Also, domestic cats and dogs will suffer. They have a well-developed sense of balance and coordination, but no sense of spatial orientation. Without gravity, these animals will get lost in three-dimensional space and die. Perhaps the best chance of survival will be with fish. They're used to living in a fluid environment, but they can't move on land. But if we put fish in a spaceship and send them into outer space, they'll have a chance to survive. Indeed, astronauts aboard the International Space Station grow plants and fish in microgravity conditions. Fish embryos develop faster in space, and in general, they show good results. So don't be sad. If one day the Earth loses its gravity, we can always move to Proxima Centauri b or ask the aliens for asylum. And if they deny us, we'll have somewhere else to go. For example, a neutron star. Can you imagine what it would be like? Find out in another video.